Season 2 Part 1 of The Sandman has just been released, and overall it was a pretty good season. It was a season of thirds that did a solid job at laying down the foundations and building towards the epic conclusion that looks set to be on the horizon, with Dream fighting for not only his own existence, but the existence of dreaming. At the end of Season 2 Part 1, a preview was shared, and it's safe to say that it looks like it's going to be way more exciting than what we got in the first 6 episodes. So with that, I thought I'd break down the trailer along with giving my theories and predictions on what I think will happen next. So let's get into it. Here is The Sandman Season 2 Part 2 trailer explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. So the trailer opened up with the lyrics, "All around me, darkness gathers," and these lyrics feel like they're summing up the tone that the final part of the show is gonna have. Following Dream spilling the blood of another Endless, something that's prohibited, the kindly ones look like they're set on destroying him. This is what the final scene of the final episode of Season 2 Part 1 stood for as well when they cut the wall. The first line of dialogue was spoken by Dream, and he said, "I spilled family blood, and now the kindly ones will soon demand the end of my existence as punishment for my crime." This was intercut with Dream visiting the kindly ones, where it seems like they'll be outlining what it is that they plan on doing and how they're not only going to be going for him, but they're going to be going for his realm, which means that the possibility of dreaming in the waking world could be eradicated forever. This is what I think is going to be at the heart of this season. Dream doing everything that he can to make sure that the realm survives and that dreaming stays possible, even if it means that he himself doesn't. As well as that shot, it was also intercut with Dream standing and speaking with Destiny, as I imagine he's going to be going to Destiny to look to find the outcome of the situation and find out what will eventually happen to him. He said to Destiny, "Tell me what's to come," and Destiny responded by saying, "One's destiny is determined by one's actions." This is quite a powerful line because it basically implies that no destiny is locked in and that it can always be changed. Dream has the ability of changing his destiny still, and that's why I feel like we'll see him look to fight back against the kindly ones and those that get sent for him. This is because he's going to do what he can to make sure that his own destiny is decided by him and not them. After this, it cut to Dream saying, "The dreaming is no longer safe." This is going to be because of the kindly ones that are coming to him and the threat to the possibility of dreaming. In response to this, Nuala said, "Can I build you an army?" This is something that I'm so pleased about because she was introduced in the previous part of the season and then we never really saw her again. So it seems like she's actually going to have some larger involvement in the season, which I'm glad about. We also saw her on a horse with a sword, showing that she was getting prepared for battle. The fact that it was also pouring down with rain gives old school warfare vibes, which I'm totally down for, and it also sums up the state of Dream's mental state. But then, in the next breath, we then got more modern warfare in the sense that Merv was sitting there with a mounted machine gun and Matthew was also alongside him. There's going to be people coming to Dream, so having an army and others posted around the vicinity will be crucial. I'd even say the likes of the Guardians will come into play because for the first time they'll be guarding the most important thing. So I'm expecting to see some deaths in this for sure. The next thing that we saw was Nuala riding her horse through a portal, which is most likely going to be her going to recruit others to be a part of the army and stressing how important it is that Dream and the capability of dreaming survives. There was a line of dialogue that she said, which was, "We should be able to protect ourselves and him." So she's going to be confident in her approach. Dream said any threat to the dreaming must be destroyed. So Dream is definitely going to be doing all that he can in order to fight back and change the destiny that he's forced himself into by spilling blood. But at the same time, he recognizes how the ability of dreaming is actually more important than himself. Dream also said, "I have enemies," which shows that the Furies are most likely going to be building their own army as well, which is going to be made up of people that have it out for Dream. The next piece of dialogue was spoken from the scene where Dream went to see the three sisters, and she said, "Desire once swore that they'd make you spill family blood." This makes me wonder if she's trying to get inside of Dream's head and turn him against his own sibling, making him think that Desire planted the possibility of the idea within his mind. We know that he's skeptical of Desire. He said in the opening episode how they ruin things, so I feel like this is a technique that will most likely end up failing. After this, it then cut to Loki, and he said, "We could be the ones to set the kindly ones upon him." He was saying this to Puck, and it looked like they were getting quite close to one another. So I wonder if there's going to be a romantic relationship there. Loki is in Dream's debt following Dream placing a mirrored version of Loki in the prison that he was locked in. So with Loki being the traitorous and scheming individual that he is, I reckon he'll want to be out of Dream's debt, hence why this conversation is going to be taking place and why he's going to put the unkindly ones upon him. The next piece of dialogue was spoken by Death, and she said, "You've been down much farther than this in the past, and you've come back," which is a statement that is true. But to be honest, he spilled blood, which is one of the main rules that you can't break, so he's going to have so many people on his back trying to kill him. The thing that gets me though is the placement of Death's inclusion in the trailer. It was as Morpheus was placing his hand above Matthew's head, and it looked quite somber. Pair that with the fact that Matthew also flew into the house and crashed onto the floor. I actually think Matthew could end up being killed. The fact that it's raining is obviously quite symbolic of how Dream is feeling, so it looks like he could end up feeling like there's quite literally no way out and he's fighting an uphill battle. This was then when one of my favourite moments in the trailer occurred. The Corinthian was summoned by Dream and he asked if he could help him. The Corinthian was obviously erased by Dream in Season 1, but knowing how powerful he is, Dream is most likely going to look to get him on side. This is something that I'm glad about because I feel like his character was definitely missed in the first part of the second season. The only question is, can he actually be trusted? The Corinthian did respond and say, "I await your command," so for now it seems like he might well be. It also seemed like the Corinthian was going to be working alongside Joanna Constantine as well. After this, we heard the line, "Destiny's book has an ending and so do you," and as that was said, the visions of Destiny started fading away. This piece of dialogue was spoken by a character that we've not seen before, and it was in fact Dream's father, Time of the Endless. So it seems like Dream is going to be going to his father in his hour of need in the search for help and guidance on what to do. Following this being said, Dream's castle was getting knocked down. Death asked him if he was ready, and in the derelict state which was his realm, the Furies stood opposite him in a scene that looked like it could be the climax of the finale. It also looked like Dream was going to be turning to the fairies as well, so one would imagine that with Nula looking to build the army, she might turn to her own kind to assist. This could also be where Puck and Loki end up teaming up because it could be where Puck finds out what's going on. Then from there, the trailer came to a close. Honestly, there are genuinely so many different directions that the final part of the final season could go in. I do wonder if the likes of Nada will feature, or if Dream has just fully moved on from the idea of being with her now. He might well have accepted that he's got bigger issues to face, which would be the right thing for him to focus on. I don't know how true to the novels the show's going to be, but I do think that Dream will end up being killed, but dreaming in itself will still exist as a function. I think they'll find a way of allowing it to continue, or somebody else could well ascend the position. I actually think that a young Daniel might have something to do with the existence of dreaming being able to continue. Whilst the first part of the season was enjoyable, it lacked the action and some battles, but I feel we're definitely going to get it in abundance when the show returns in a couple of weeks. It'll be returning on July the 24th with the final 5 episodes of the show, then it ends for good. So until then, let's just theorize about what could happen. So, there you have it, the Sandman Season 2 Part 2 trailer explained.